Good morning, everyone. I'm Luis Ortiz, and today we're gonna make a comparison between this and this. So let's go ahead and get this done. So I wanted to go ahead and do a one video comparing both of them, but as I started going through describing everything, I realized that this was gonna take a lot longer, more than just one video, because we're gonna have to involve some cooks behind it. So this will probably be a 2, maybe 3-part series. I'm not 100% certain. So if you want to see a comparison between the two when it comes to what it offers, what it doesn't offer, how they compare between the two, but most importantly, how they cook, be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out. Let's go. Let's go ahead and start off with the 1600. Now, as you guys already know, the 1600, we received it from Pitballs for the replacement for the 1150 that we had. There was an issue with the controller that made the auger spin. It kept feeding it pellets, and what ended up happening was that it caught on fire, but whatever. Anyways, so they sent this over to us as a replacement. So let's go ahead and check it out. Now, here's one thing that I really can appreciate from Pitballs, and you guys already know. If you guys already see my 8-month review from the 1150, you guys already know. It's this right here. On the last video where I made baby back ribs, all I had to do was pull it out, spritz, do whatever I needed to do, put it right back in. You can do the same thing to this one, no issue. Bottom ones, obviously you can't, but it does come with a griddle, so that's pretty awesome. Another pro to this is that we do have a small light in here. I used it last time. It was all right. It's not the greatest. Maybe if we can replace it with an LED to make it a little bit brighter, that'll work a little bit better. But outside of that, it's pretty good. Another pro is that it's double walled, non-insulated, right? So it's just air on the inside, but it's a double wall, so that's pretty awesome. And if you guys seen my other video, from left to right and the low temperatures, it's very even. Once you go into like the 250s, 270s, then yeah, you're gonna have a little bit more of a hot side on this side than this side, but you know, that's to be expected on pretty much any smoker, really. The griddle, I have not used it yet, but I do plan on it. I don't know exactly what to put. Maybe I'll go ahead and start with some burgers, you know, do all that good stuff and make sure everything's nice. It does have some drains over here for the grease, so say you're doing your burgers or doing whatever, you got all the grease, it comes down and it goes into the guide, right, on the drip tray, whatever you want to call it, and it goes down to the little bucket. So that's pretty awesome. I like that. You can always remove this griddle, or you can leave it in there. That's totally up to you. But you can go ahead and do your slow smoke here, or even on one of these racks. Right, you can do steak, tri-tips, picanha, whatever you want to go ahead and do. And then it has this lever. You can pull it, and what it does is it opens up the fire plate inside. See that? It opens it up so the flame can go ahead and give you a direct sear right in there, man. If you like the taste of fire actually hitting your meat, this is definitely something that you're really gonna like. Or you can just do how some people do. Basically, they'll go ahead and smoke their meat for up to whatever temp, and then they'll raise up the temp, they'll pull the handle, and then they'll let the griddle get really hot, and then you can do a sear that way. It makes it a much more even crust, if you will. The Pitballs also has this pellet dump right over here. You just unscrew this, pull this down, get it out of the way, put this down, and it'll start dumping away. No problem. Now this thing is built pretty good. I mean, it's pretty strong. You know, it's not heavy, but you know, these hinges, they definitely help out when lifting and dropping it down. But it's way better than the 1150. One thing about this is this. The easy ash clean out. I gotta clean this out. But yeah, this thing has it. It has a gasket down here, and it's you would not believe how much you use this. I use it a lot. It makes life so much easier to go ahead and have this present into your smoker. The controller is also a great pro, and I say that because we got 10-degree increments now. We got 4 probes right in here. I got spare probes, so I use these for either ambient or for meat temp, and it works out great. It matches my Inkbird no problem. It's fantastic. You can do your smoke mode, you can do all this stuff. Plus, on this particular model, if I put it under smoke mode or 180 degrees, it actually holds at around 160 or so. And that's very, very, very good when it comes to making sausages. So I'm definitely gonna make the sausages on this smoker, 100%. It has a 32-pound hopper. I think I've actually put in here about 34 to 35 or so. Not entirely a full bag, but pretty close to it. So that's pretty awesome. And you get to see how much you got left with this glass. Now let's go with the cons. This thing takes quite a bit of time for it to get to temp. I don't know what the reason is. I think it's because everything is so much bigger. It does take quite a bit of time. Now on the RecTeq, you have a bigger auger, and I feel that that complements the bigger barrel, right? And it gets everything up to temp so much better, right? Whereas in this one, it still uses the 1150 auger, the same size. So I feel maybe that has to do with why it takes quite a bit of time for it to get up to temp. I do appreciate these 3 racks. You know, you got the bottom, the middle, and the top one. I really do appreciate it. However, I cannot put a brisket down here and then put another one in here and then put another one right here. Maybe if it's just a flat, but if you try and put a flat with a point in there, a full packer, it's not gonna happen. It's gonna end up starting to touch in here and it's not gonna work. So if you wanna do multiple briskets, you're gonna have to take this one off and put it right in here. Or leave the bottom one in there and then just do this one right over here. You can probably just end up just removing this one and just leaving this one on and put the briskets in here. That way it's off the ground and it's not directly over the hot spot, right? So that'll help. You can probably put like a small little tray in here of water and that'll help out, but that's it. But the thing is that these things bend quite a bit, so I don't know how many briskets you can put in there, right? So that's a big con right there. Yes, you can put a whole bunch of ribs in here and it's gonna be fine, but if you're trying to do briskets, you know, especially down here in Texas, it's gonna have its limits, kind of like in 1150, right? It's gonna have those types of limits. You really just can't put anything big in here. You can't put pork butts either, right? So if you try and put pork butts, this definitely has to come out. Either that one or this one, and then just put all the pork butts in here, but the weight of the pork butts is definitely gonna cause this to kind of like weigh it down a little bit. So that's a very, very big con. The last con that I have here is gonna be the app. It's not the greatest app in the world. I just don't trust it, so I still use the Inkbird for this thing. Just to be on the safe side, I put the Inkbird in there. I put some alarms in there in case it overheats or it goes too low or whatever the case may be. I just leave it in there and call it a day. And those are the pros and cons for it. And here we have the RecTeq 1250. Let's go ahead and check it out. Look at this thing, man. I really enjoy this smoker a lot. So let's go ahead and start with the pros. All right. Pro number 1, that shelf. You see how on the pit boss it was maybe about 3 inches or so? Right now we got a little bit more than a handful of space in here. So, and the table is actually, you know, it can fit a whole tray, no problem. The table sits low enough so that you can put your tray in here, open this thing up, no problem. Because when you have it down like this, and say this table was a little bit over here, as soon as you open it up, it's gonna end up pushing your tray away. That's why RecTeq designed it this way, to sit low, wide, no problem, put it in here, good to go. These racks can be pulled as well. And these aren't like the Pit Boss racks where they're flimsy and all. These things can hold some weight to it, man. See that? And the bottom one sticks out too. You can go ahead and do your thing in here, no problem. The top rack sits pretty close, almost as close as the bottom one, although not as wide, obviously. I mean, not as deep, obviously, but it's pretty close. And the space between them is enough so that you can go ahead and put some briskets in here, and you're able to go ahead and fit some briskets on this side too. Maybe some smaller briskets, but you can definitely do that because you got quite a bit of space between these two. So on this 1250, you definitely have way more space than you do on the Pit Boss. So for instance, I've seen some people put some pork butts underneath here and put some pork butts on top as well, you know, fully loaded up. The hopper on this thing holds 40 pounds and you don't really have to mess with it a whole lot. You just put it in there the way that it feeds it, it's kind of like into a cone shape. Let's go ahead and see if we can take a video of it. There you go. You see how it's shaped like a cone? Like it helps with feeding it so much better than the way that Pit Boss does. I mean, the Pit Boss does have a small little cone, but it's not, you know, it's not continuous like this one is. I gotta tell you guys, this controller is by far the best controller I've ever used. 100% 5-degree increments, great Wi-Fi capability. The app is not that great for Android, you know, but that's just I mean, it is what it is. But outside from that, everything is fantastic with this controller. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for a thing. It holds temps no problem. It gets up to temp very, very fast too. Which reminds me, this thing has a cast iron heat deflector. It goes right over the fire pot. And what this does is that it prevents it from having that hot spot that the Pit Boss has in the middle. Pit Boss does not have this. It does not. So in here, you can go ahead and see how much bigger this auger is compared to the Pit Boss one. And that's why this one gets up to temp so much faster, because it's able to go ahead and have a better feed rate than the Pit Boss does by a long shot. This thing is built out of stainless steel, and it's fantastic. You can clean it. It's not gonna corrode on you. It's pretty awesome. Now, that's not to say that this thing doesn't have any flaws, because it does. Well, I won't say flaws, but just something that RecTeq should have done from the beginning. The first one would be, there's no easy ash clean out in here. You're gonna have to come in here, vacuum it all out. In order to clean out the ashes, you're gonna have to remove all the grates, you're gonna have to remove the drip tray, and then you're gonna have to remove the cast iron heat deflector, and then finally you can go ahead and vacuum it out. For the price that you pay for this thing, I would think that you would get like an easy ash clean out, I would think, right? But that's not the case. The heat deflector also has a crack now. You see that? It has a crack, and it's I've used this RecTeq for a bit, but you would think that this thing wouldn't crack. It would be nice and sturdy, but I'm gonna have to call RecTeq to see what the deal is and see if we can get a replacement, or if they have any other different solution. I don't know, but for the price that you pay for it, I wasn't expecting for that to happen that quick. The hopper does not have a pellet dump, unfortunately. So in order to get all the pellets in the inside out, you're gonna either have to spend them all, or you're gonna have to vacuum them all out. And I do pellet reviews, so this is gonna be a huge pain for me to go ahead and do on the RecTeq. So that's another con for me. I don't know if this is gonna be a con for you guys, but look at the height difference between the RecTeq and the 1600. See how much taller it is. So if you're a very tall person, I'm not, I'm under 6 feet. So if you're a tall person, this might be an issue for you, or you can just put, you know, taller wheels and get it off the ground a little bit more, and that might help out. This 1250 is supposed to get up to 700-degree temperature, right? Perfect, so that you can go ahead and do your sear. No problem. I haven't gotten it up to 700 degrees yet, but whenever I do reverse sear, I like for the flame to actually kiss the meat, right? Give it that little bit more hint of a flavor. I haven't done it on this one. I do plan on doing it. Some people say that the 1250 doesn't really sear a whole lot unless you put like a cast iron pan in here, or maybe the grill grates or something like that. Then it'll be worthwhile. I haven't tried it. I've done a pizza here at 500 degrees and it was fantastic, right? But I haven't done an actual reverse sear on this thing, whereas the Pit Boss has the actual flame hitting the meat. This one does not. But now it's gonna be time to go ahead and do a comparison between these two when it comes to actually smoking. We can talk about all the features it has. We can talk about the double wall. We can talk about the stainless steel. We can talk about how heavy duty the racks are or whatever. None of that matters if the cook is terrible, right? If it cannot hold temps, if it cannot provide a good smoke flavor, if it's wasting the hell out of pellets, if it's doing all that stuff. So it can have the best features possible, but if it cannot do a good smoke, then it's really not worth what you pay for it, right? So stick around, guys. For the next episode, we'll go ahead and do that. Be sure to go ahead and like, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Later.